the region by toppling two regimes that had traditionally been allies and trading partners of Russia, Libya and Syria. Now this is important because I'm going to get into this towards the later part of this video. The jihadist war in Syria and the north of Caucasus. It says here, apart from their role in the Middle East, Russia fears that the victory of Saudi and Qatari-sponsored jihadist groups in Syria could also have a negative impact on the situation in Russia's North Caucasus, where the Wahhabi insurgency is widespread, especially in regions of Chechnya and I think it's Dagestan. I've been covering this recently with these attacks in that area. It says actually the insurgency in the north of the Caucasus has been funded by Saudi private organizations and individuals. At the same time, Russia sees Iran and Syria as two bulwarks to spread the extremists of Wahhabism into Russia's North Caucasus. And finishing up, it's noteworthy to point out that Syria has an important Chechen community with links to the North Caucasus, but this community has never given problems to Moscow. However, this could change if rebels topple Assad's government. This could then become a haven for anti-Russian activities and a source of funding and support for terrorism in the Russian territory. So we are talking about Afghanistan and why the U.S. and the West went in there. It had to do with Russia and using their Muslim extremists that they created there. It says U.S. envisions long stay in Afghanistan through a pact, so they don't have any plan to actually leave there, which I think most of us are aware of. But that's probably why they went there. It says here, an increasingly Islamist region, Israel may be headed for war. So Israeli Defense Force intelligence chief warns that they have been dealing with a series of crises, regional and internal, that increases the volatility of all players. In the coming year, the state of Israel will come up against an unstable, increasingly Islamist region that has been dealing with a series of crises, engineered by the West, of course. Says that increases the volatility of all of the players that could lead, without prior warning, to conflagrations. And the Muppets TV character urges Israelis to prepare for strike on Iran. It's interesting. Remember the Muppets owner in that? They were actually the first ones that carried out that ban against Chick-fil-A. And then I remember I tied it with Jason Alexander, and who knows if the whole thing was just a Zionist propaganda tool. Because after they came out with it, that protest against Chick-fil-A, everybody just followed suit. It says a new emergency pamphlet, and Israel instructs residents to prepare for the worst if Tel Aviv conducts a military strike on Iran. But the face on the brochure isn't the country's president or prime minister, it's a Muppet. It says it's Israel's co-production of the long-running America's Children program, Sesame Street. The booklet issued by Israeli military instructs the Israelis how to react if their nation's government launches a war against Iran. They say that once air raid sirens sound, residents of the Jewish state would have between 30 seconds and 3 minutes to find cover before rockets hit the area. Something I found interesting was this. It says here they propose separate shelters for Africans in Israel. And the meeting says here, in meeting with home